So Mr Ross has got absolutely no credibility whatsoever to come here, has no credibility whatsoever to come here and suggest that my conduct or my actions have been in any way inappropriate here. Now, in addition to that, the issues that I went through at length last week, Presiding Officer, in answering Mr Ross, the issues I raised have now been endorsed by Parliament.
First Minister, Mr Ross, you are aware that unless you've been called to speak, we should not be hearing any other member other than the member who's been called to speak. First Minister.
So, Presiding Officer, the issues I raised have now been endorsed by Parliament.
Mr Ross, I am going to ask you to apologise.
I apologise. I was simply saying they've not been
Mr Ross, if this occurs again, I will be extremely frustrated and disappointed. First Minister.
So, Presiding Officer, the issues that I raised last week have now been endorsed by the Democratic National Parliament of Scotland, and there is a process now underway which the corporate body will lead, which will address these issues and restore, in the words of the parliamentary motion, integrity and confidence in the Parliament and its procedures, which matter deeply to me as a member of this Parliament. For the fifth time, could I indicate that I accept the conclusions of Parliament yesterday? And the last thing I'm going to say to Mr Ross is this. I think it's pretty instructive that when Mr Ross goes through his sequence of questions and then eventually gets to the pouring out of the volume of personal abuse that he pours out, it tells us that Mr Ross has lost the argument, just as he has lost the argument throughout all of this, because he cannot do anything other than resort to nasty personal abuse. That's what Mr Ross contributes to this Parliament.